Hi, I'm Arjun Partha, and I'd like to welcome you to another one of my unboxing videos. Today I'm going to be unboxing the Mont Marte Professional Series Hobby Knife Set. To order the cutting knives, I'm going to go to Amazon. I'm gonna type Mont Marte cutting knife. This is the knife set, and this is what it should look like in expanded view. Will be the second image, and this will be the largest one. The full name of this would be Mont Marte Sketching, Drawing, Portrait Shading for Students, Professional Hobbyist Artists, Hobby Knife Set of 13 blades. This would be the full description, a more detailed description, and I'm just gonna go ahead and buy it. I have finished ordering the package and it's just about this big. So yeah, it's about the size of an encyclopedia, and now I'm gonna go ahead and cut it out. Now the first few writings you're gonna see on the box are the brand name Mont Marte, Hobby Knife Set. It's gonna say Professional Series. You're gonna see 13 pieces, and that's in here. And you're gonna see these heat-treated SK5 steel blades. It sounds really fancy. Now, on the other side, you're gonna find this writing. I'm just gonna turn it around and read it out. Mont Marte Professional Series Hobby Knife Set. This Mont Marte Hobby Knife Set contains 3 handles and 13 interchangeable blades to use for cutting, chiseling, carving, etching, piercing, scraping, shaving, stripping, and trimming. It can cut wood, fabric, leather, cardboard, paper, plastic, wax, and metal. Ideal for craftsmen, that's me, technicians, professionals, and hobbyists. Over here it's given a nice little index of what blade to use for what, and it mentions you get 3 blade holders in this: the standard use, the medium use, and the heavy duty. Let's go ahead and cut the box up. Now you'll notice that I've kept a piece of paper here from after cutting. What this is it's actually a legend about which blade to use for what. I think it'll be helpful if you don't exactly remember what each and every single blade is for, but it's really your choice if you want to keep it or not. Let's first talk about the standard blade. As you can see, it's not very thick. It's about the size of maybe a ballpoint pen. Yeah, it's about the size of a ballpoint pen. Now the great thing about this, it's long and actually just sits here if you use it like me. So actually that helps a little bit when you're cutting. Then you have the medium duty, which is again roughly the same length as the standard duty, as you can see here. And again, it's nice and thick, like this much. And the very similar thing about these two is that they look like the pens. Like if you actually confuse this for a pen when you take the blade out, you almost feel like you can just like put it in your pocket there. So that's one really good thing about this. I think maybe the only problem with this is that when I cut, right, it's like going to put pressure here. If it was maybe a little bit longer, like even like maybe 3-4 millimeters longer, and it went up to here, it won't cause me so much pain. Because one thing I've noticed is when I keep a cutter like this on over here on this region and I press a bit too hard, I start getting a wrist pain. So if this was maybe a few millimeters longer, that's great. Now if I adjust it though, these two fingers are put on, have a lot of pressure on them, which is also not good. And if you just keep it up like this, then start notice you're slowly gonna start sloping your cuts like that. Then The heavy duty is not the same length as the medium duty. It's actually a bit shorter. And the thing is, it has this purple handle sort of thing. Now, this is not removable. You can't unscrew it or anything, no matter how hard you try. And you cannot cut this. There's no gap when you put this on. So don't think about cutting this off. Now, where it's really useful is when you're using something like wood or metal, you're putting a lot of immense pressure there. Then you're gonna start noticing that this purple grip significantly reduces the amount of pressure on your wrist and on this area. So it doesn't really cause that pain. So I'll give a kudos to Mont Marte for that. Another thing I want you to notice about the standard and medium use blades is that they have a unique shape blade. They're not just like simple triangles. They're not like triangle 1 base, triangle 2 base, and triangle 3 base. They're not like that. They had this bit, sort of curved bit over here, right? Now, if you studied this in physics, it's called simple levers or so. I don't remember the exact name of the chapter. You're going to see that this is a mechanism so that you can put more force into your cutting without putting all the pressure. So I recommend that when you use these two blades, right, especially on paper or something that doesn't require too much effort to be cut, don't put pressure. Just like take a, just like think you're using a pencil to just draw the outline. So that's how light it is, and that's how much effort and pressure is required to work with. So yeah, kudos to Montmartre for that. Thank you very much. Then on the legend, I'm just going to tell you what blades are what. The first two blades are chisel blades. That means they're for chiseling and shaving wood, wax, wood, wax, and soft plastic. Then you have this. It's called sharp angled blade, and it's a straight edge for cutting cardboard, plastic, metal, and leather. Then these two blades here, they're angled chisel blades. I mean they're for chiseling, cutting, and trimming paper, plastic, and wood. And you have this super sharp blade here. These two actually, they're fine precision blades, just like these two. I guess they're like refills in case one of them goes up. So the first one would be for standard duty, the second would be for the medium duty because you can see here they're not exactly the same like thickness. So they're used for straight edge for precision cutting, so there's not really a bound for this. Then you're gonna notice a curved edge blade where the curved side of the blade is the part where it cuts. It's for carving and cutting. Then the straight edge blade where the straight part would be the part where you cut, right? Used for paper, wood, and leather. And then the stencil edge blade. It's actually just like this, and the cutting part is the top. It would be for cutting stencils, plastic, wood, and leather. Now, let's talk about the place of in the box where the blades are held. Now, the first thing you're going to want to notice about the holders is that you can see that they're very finely cut. Like, there's no imperfection in the shape or like the size. It just slots in exactly. There's no, like jiggling. Because if you notice some mechanisms, they have this sort of feature where one end is more abruptly wide and one end is abruptly short. They'll say sometimes it's called an artistic edge and all that mumbo jumbo to make you believe that their mistakes is something good. It's not. What I feel is that these corners are well made and well given so that there's no jiggling noise of the blade. See, do you feel any jiggling? I don't feel any. That's one thing I like to give kudos to Montmartre for that. Then you're gonna notice these side struts over here. They don't look like much, but if you use like any box like this before, sometimes if you drop the box, you're gonna start noticing like there's pressure that's been given here, or just there's somebody who fiddles a lot with stuff. They start putting pressure here. The bots start to cave in. The hinges go for toss. What these actually do is they like reinforce the sides. That's what I think they're for. Another last feature I would want you to notice is this. That this is not a straight line of plastic. There's this bit and then the height increases. This bit and then the height increases. What they actually do is you just have to go and keep your cutting blade on them. Blade rests on them. Right? That's what they're for. Now, it doesn't look like much of a difference, but I challenge you. Take this box, buy it, for sure buy it, then go and buy some other random box and see that they don't have this bit. Then you're gonna start noticing that there's a difference between how those blades cut, how this blade cuts, and many other differences that I cannot just visibly tell you right now. You have to experience it for yourself. That's why I'm telling you. Doesn't look like much, but it actually really helps in the long-term process. Now I'm just going to talk about the box itself. Now about the box, see it's actually a pretty roomy box and you can easily keep your cutting knives here, and when you close it, it's roughly about the size of a dial phone, as you can see. Like you can just put it up to your ear by accident and be like, hello. Is that size. First thing I want you to notice is this clamp. This actually has some amount of flexibility, but don't push it too hard in the back, otherwise you're going to start making this not work as efficiently as it's supposed to. Now you just hold that in tightly and looks like no force of nature is going to move this box apart. Now what I want you to notice is that if you use other box where the clamp is actually immovable and you just gotta push this in, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare closing them. It's a nightmare thinking about whether you close them. And it's a nightmare just thinking about the fact is it going to open. So that those kind of boxes are just plain nightmares that have been made. This box actually has a good tight clamp, so you don't have to worry about it when you close it. Another thing I want you to notice is this clasp, right? It's actually textured and there's going to be a small arrow symbol that points down, right? What it actually does is when you're trying to take the lid off, your fingers don't slip or anything, they stay there. So it doesn't look like much, but again, it's a major help. So again, kudos to Mont Marte for that. Then what you're gonna notice about this magnet is if you go on the site I went, you're gonna find quite a few ripoffs if you just search for cutting box. They look the exact same as the earlier packaging, but they have a different name. You may think, yeah, they look the same, this, that. But the thing is, on the back, you can actually see the magnet. So what they've done is they think that since there's a magnet here, you can just expose it at the back and maybe just put it onto a board. Let me tell you, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't work. It looks ugly on the outside. This actually looks very nice and sophisticated on the outside. Also, you'll see that there are no actual printing impressions. I mean, there are slight lines maybe over here, but you don't really see any printing impressions. Like in some boxes, like you'd see this ugly layer of writing sort of thing that comes in a lighter shade than the overall box. It's just to show that when the other people are trying to press the plastic on the back, they're pressing it too hard and you get these marks or scars on the box that don't look good. Now what you're gonna notice over here is that there are these two segments that are divided by this sort of barrier over here. Now what I'm gonna do with this is I'm gonna go and maybe like put a sticker here for my name, and this should be the return to sender's lost address. So you can tell me what you're going to use this column font in the comment section below. Now when you're putting this, I recommend put a sticker sheet first. So if you make a mistake and you want to take it out, just peel the sticker sheet off, right? That's easy. What is not easy is writing on this with like a permanent marker or something even worse and realizing it didn't come out well, or if you just wrote with a normal pen thinking that it would work, you accidentally smudge it, the whole design and appeal of this box is just gone. So if you plan to use this like to put your name or something like I would, put a sticker sheet here first. That would be my only advice to you when putting your name and stuff. Now I'm going to tell you how you're going to be able to swap out a blade. But to swap out a blade, you must first know how to take the blade out. Now there are many ways to do this, but I found one simple technique that I think we all should follow. Take your predominant hand, left or right. Mine should be right, so I'm just gonna go ahead. Go towards the side, right? And just like put your finger there on one side, the other finger on the other side. Just press on the magnet a bit and just lift that up. It's just as simple as that. Now you can do it for all the other cutters, and when keeping it back, right? Don't just slide it in. I want you to notice a special thing. I don't know if you can see this right here, but there's an engraved number for me. It's at number 21, right? Always put the engraved side up, because then if you're using like maybe a blade like this or this like curved angle blade, you know the engraved side is up, because then the engraved side would match the side that this plastic bit shows they are. So that's how the engraving really helps. Another very small feature that Mont Marte noticed that made a big difference. So kudos to that. Now I'm going to tell you how to swap out the blade for each of these knives. So in the case that you want to swap out your blade, you're going to take this textured bit and you're going to take this normal bit. Slowly start unscrewing this textured bit like that. Then you're going to take this blade out, place it out. Then you're going to select almost any blade from this. It looks like it will fit the size. Again, like my advice, just go to it from the sides and put it out. Then you're going to notice that you see this on most cutting knives. There's going to be this sort of plus or cross. I'm just going to slide that into one of the pluses or crosses. But remember, if it doesn't go through, you have to unscrew it a bit more, right? Just slowly, very slowly slot that in. Now just screw it a bit in tight. Don't screw it fully though, slightly a little loose. You see the shaking? Means that it's not fully screwed in yet. So just put a little more. Like after every time, just make sure to check if this is shaking. Now as you can see, it's not shaking and it cuts fine. Like that. That's how you swap out the blade for a standard duty. Medium duty has the same exact philosophy. Just unscrew the blade like that. Take it out, put it back in, screw it in like that, and then you just do the jiggle test. If it's not, then screw it in one more turn tighter. Now it's done. Again, same philosophy for this. Like that, and you just screw it back in. Again, jiggle test when necessary. Then let's talk about a few of the unnoticed features about this box. The first thing would be these ledges. I'm going to call them hubcaps because that's what they remind me of in cars, hubcaps. So what these hubcaps actually do is they help set a divider for this part and this part. A lot of boxes have this and they often go unnoticed. So that's what's good. Then you're going to notice that it has these extra bits. Now the thing is, when you use this on like maybe a non-slip mat or something, this actually helps the non-slip mat because of these edges. So that's another unnoticed feature there. Then you're going to notice the hinge for the box is very long. My philosophy is the longer the hinge, the longer the life, right? Because if there's a long hinge, then you can be assured that there's a very, very small chance that a hinge were to ever break. If it's maybe like very small 1 to 3 sections, then there's a chance that one of the parts will like slip out and then you'll have a major problem. So that's maybe the few unnoticed features I'd like to go on about. Now I have a challenge for you. Why don't you take this blade out which we just inserted, put this in, because now you know how to swap out blades. I'm going to give you roughly 1 minute to do that. Now I'm going to give you some tips on how you can use these blades efficiently and keep them well for a long time. Okay, my first tip for you would be when you're cutting, especially with the medium duty or the heavy duty, don't arc your cuts, right? Like this. If you have to arc your cut, keep the blade in a straight angle and arc it. Don't change the angle and arc it, otherwise you're going to notice a lot of damage when you're cutting that. And mine is due, so I really don't want damage on it yet. That's the first tip I'll give you. Second tip I would give you is that when you're swapping out the blades, be very careful about which side your finger is on. If you feel it's unsafe, use only one finger, because the thing you'll notice about these kind of blades is that the side where it's dangerous, right? The place where they feel the side is dangerous, if you try to take it out on side fingers, they're actually easier to remove than these taller blades where the cutting part's on top. I don't know if this is intentional or not, but it actually helps a lot. Then the last tip I would give you about storing this box is that don't take this to every corner of the world. Okay, looks like it can, it is portable, but don't take it into some extreme condition, because you want this box to last long. Then you should make sure that it's in a long living environment, right? Next advice I'll give you is this looks pocket size, about the size of like maybe a tire phone or maybe like landline. Don't put it in your pocket, right? It's gonna fall out, it's gonna be bad if it falls out. Especially the hinge, this beautiful hinge here is gonna get a toss and ride for a lifetime, which I don't want to happen. And you should actually just keep it like in a pouch or your bag. That's a place where it would be safest. And my very last tip when using the overall box is that if you think something is wrong with the blades or the cutter in a highly unlikely event, don't crib about it. Okay, don't fuss over it. Remember, if the medium duty wears out, you can always use the heavy duty. Because the thing about these blades is that even though it looks like you can't really replace the blades for these heavy duties, they actually work with the light duties. But I won't recommend you do this on a daily basis. Only like if one of them gets broken or they stop working or they, like something happens to the mechanism, then only you do this emergency procedure. Otherwise, don't even think about doing it yet. Okay. So thank you for joining me today. And if I were to give a product recommendation of this, I'd say no. Now I'm gonna give the overview of the entire product. The first thing you're gonna notice in the packaging is that the box they gave, right, is actually just as big as this. So kudos to Amazon for taking my advice and giving a bigger box. Then another thing would be that when you notice this bit, you can see that this is looks like a very shiny metal. So that's really design appeal. So that's done well. Then again, it's a very informative package. You don't have to like figure out what this is for. Tells you there are 13 pieces, tells you the name, it tells you what it is, and it tells you what's good about the blades. That's about enough information you need. Also, the cost is also given very conveniently in the back. So that helps. Like if you're like me, you're like comparing. So 13 pieces, right? 13 pieces cost X price. So one blade will cost X by 13 price, right? That really helps. Then on the back, you're gonna notice that again, very descriptive information given about the whole thing. It gives you a good diagram of what is what. Also gave you a legend which I chose to cut out to remember what is for what. Tells you very clearly the age limit so that no people are come on Amazon and like do a rage review like no, how could you recommend this to a 3-month old? It's clearly not for 3-year-olds and below. Like that. The overall flexibility of the paper here is good. Like it's flexible and it's nearly impossible to tear. So that's one really good thing about the overall outer packaging. Also, the plastic packaging, it shows that the box is open. So, so you actually know what the box is going to look like when you open it. It's not like this sort of closed mystery box. You don't know what is going to come. You're just like, okay, just some blades, some 13 blades. Please don't be bad. Please don't be good. It's not a lottery. It's very clearly and explicitly given. I'm going to keep this aside. Then you're going to notice that you have these three blades. Maybe the only feedback I'd ever give about the blades that this blade should be a bit longer because it's good, but if it was like little, maybe 2 millimeters longer, it would have been perfecter. Then here, these holders, very well cut, no sanding or something used, so it's very accurate too. Side struts over here prevent the box from caving in on one side. Ledge here helps blades sit and improves the life of the blade and overall, according to me. And 13 very well given blades. Magnet given here, that's very good. Very strong magnet, but also easy enough to just take out a blade. Take out a blade, you just use two of your fingers, one on the right, one on the back. You just then lift that out, as simple as that. Then, when closing the box, you're going to notice the clasp is movable. It's textured so your finger doesn't slip, and so you don't have any worry about whether it's locked or not. Now, even if you shake this box, it shows that nothing happens to the blades, no clattering, nothing happens to cutters because you know it's tightly locked in. Now, long hinge here and my philosophy, good long hinge equals good long life here. Then hubcaps are things given here. They actually help the box sit on top of each other so that they don't actually like move up and down. That's a good thing. Then dividers given here would this could be for name, this could be return to sender. Now, if I were to tell you if you should take this or not, this looks like it's perfect, and it is. Maybe if this was a little longer, there would be no reason. Just like invest your money into taking this. Maybe it's like a little bit longer, but still, if you're a beginner or if you're literally a professional, this is your full house here. This is a full house cutting blade and box for all uses, every single type. You can see that for the price given for a product less than 500 rupees, this is like the best thing that existed since cheese, right? So if I were to tell you to go for it or not, I'd say if you're a beginner, go for it. If you're a professional, go for it. Because this is your in-house factory sort of thing in a box. This has literally everything. That's why I recommend you go ahead and buy it. Thank you for joining me today. See you next time.